Welcome to Drum and Drummer, a podcast focused on drums, drumming and drummers. I'm George Pickering and that's Ben Winty, and we are both professional drummers in this business we call music. So stick around and join us as we pass the time whilst trying to stay in time.
Don't put him on a gig, he's fucking fat and lazy, you know.
This is you again.
And
Who's
again.
saying this?
My diary. Hola, Senor Picarino.
Hola. Great.
Hola. Yeah.
Did you you were in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Did you use any Spanish while you were out there?
I did a tiny bit.
What did you use?
I used uno croissant de chocolata Blanca.
So a white chocolate croissant, I'm
Yes.
guessing. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. And uno naranja.
Yeah. Yeah.
Orange juice.
Orange?
Well, they got enough
that-
to get I wanted a juice. You know, pointing at the big juicing machine.
Yeah.
Uno
yeah.
naranja.
Yeah.
Le grande hombre.
Yeah.
Fastio. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Para mí,
The only other words I
uno
know.
naranja.
Counting's fine because I do pretty fly for a white guy. So I just know, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, cinco, seis. So I can count to 6. That's fine.
Yeah.
Can't really go above that. And just from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, I know Los Polos Hermanos, methamphetamino, and cocaine.
Yeah. Good.
So I had none of those 3 things.
No.
Just the white chocolate croissants.
Was it really a stag do then? I mean, it was a stag do.
It was.
as we know.
Fucking hell. More
have a
than
good time?
50% of the group were from Newcastle. Fighting with the Geordies.
What? When? How long were you out there for?
We went Friday to Sunday.
Okay, fair enough.
2 nights. So it was a 4:30 pickup Friday morning.
What AM? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Have you been out of bed before 11
I've already
AM
been out of the
this year?
house. This was a 0 to 100.
I was saying, yeah.
Yeah.
To say that in the past few months you've done a gig, that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's nearly April. I mean, it'll be April when this comes out.
Yeah.
No idea what's happened in the last 2 months.
No.
As I've been recovering. But yes, 4:30 pickup, Gatwick, EasyJet, beer, midday,
Yeah.
It was good. It was a very good trip. Lots of good food, lots of good people, lots of good bants, and some lovely sightseeing as well because we are all 40. I'm like the baby of the group, really, still.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was 6 of us from down south, including the stag's father.
Yeah.
And then the rest are from Tyneside, Newcastle, because that's where the stag has lived for the last 20 years.
Got you. Answer my question. What sights did you see?
Well, one of my favourites, we didn't really know much what was going on. And it's kind of always weird when you go on a holiday or a trip where you've not really booked it or planned it.
Yeah.
Done anything. So we just know, get to the airport this time, fly to Barcelona, and then we'll come back Sunday. What's happening in the middle? No idea.
How do you, Ben Winty, feel about that? Someone who likes control over everything, almost to a manipulative level. No, I'm joking. But to then be told there's no control to a holiday.
Well, I think if you're either one or the other. So like if you're in control, be in control, lead, be organised, do that. When you're not in control, fully relax.
Yeah.
Go with the flow because someone else is taking control of this. Put your trust in them. Yeah. And in the build up to the trip, the best man's cost breakdowns, itinerary, managing people flying from Newcastle, people flying from Gatwick, the northern lot flying back today. We flew back yesterday. His spreadsheets were impeccable. So big respect. He's proved he can lead the troops on a trip to Barcelona, and they did very well. I'm more than happy to step aside. Someone else wants to take control. That's absolutely fine.
I agree.
What I don't like,
God.
what I don't like, or dislike, or not a fan of. So we did one planned excursion, one planned event, which we didn't know until we arrived on the Saturday night, and it was an escape room. Lost escape room. Have you ever done an escape room?
No.
No, me neither. Now, some people might think, oh, this is your cup of tea, Ben. You love puzzles. You're a clever guy. You know?
Your words, yeah?
Yeah. My words, yeah. Most people's biographies, they write themselves, don't they?
Yeah.
You know? And that's why your Wikipedia says, both a handsome and talented drummer, George Pickering's favourite Ariana Grande song is Bang Bang.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It took me back to doing a school project where there was like 6 of us trying to solve this thing, and you got an hour. And I can very easily, like, because everyone's chipping in, that's great. Like, I'm not going to take control of this. I don't want to be, you know, put my head above the parapet. I'll help out. I'll help with the Morse code.
Yeah.
As you bloody well know I will.
Yeah.
You know, I'll ask some questions. You know, did I open a padlock by accident? Yes, I did. How did you solve that, Ben? Secrets of the Pharaohs.
Yeah.
And it's that thing of like, we're going to get out. So it's not like it's life or death.
Yeah.
And I just kind of go with the flow and like let other people take charge. And I'm there for the Morse code and the trying numbers in padlocks sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it was actually quite challenging. Not helped by the fact that some of the mechanisms didn't work.
Right.
The bookcase should have opened to reveal the second room when you press the button, but it sort of didn't. It just made the clock change. So we spent a good 5 minutes on that. Yeah, it was good. It was good. But one excursion I was a big fan of, which I didn't know we were doing, is we went a bit of sightseeing, and we went to the site of the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. We went to the Olympic Stadium and that sort of area. Oh, I loved that, and I'll tell you for why. Because it looked partially abandoned.
Yeah.
Oh, like a segment of history just left to kind of rot. Not rot. I mean, it looks good, but that's the site of Linford Christie running the 100 metres and getting the gold.
Yeah. Did you go on the bus to get there? The sightseeing bus?
No, we got taxi. We all got taxis up to the hill. Did that. We did a lot of walking, and obviously I've not really done a huge amount of movement in the last couple of months. So, but it was fine. I didn't moan. Friends helped me out. No. You know, made sure I got the comfy seats. Yeah. But no,
I'm glad you didn't milk it then. Your back surgery.
You know, I mean, I told everyone about it. Don't get me wrong.
I bet
you know, you're 6 Guinness in. You're whipping out the wound. Do you know what I mean? Look at my wound.
Yeah.
Michael, and Michael. 3 Michaels on the trip.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's Michael, and Michael. Way, you know.
Great.
But it was great. It was a good trip. Really enjoyed it. And we're up to Newcastle at the end of the month, end of April, for the wedding. So
brilliant.
All
Fantastic.
Good. All good. Wow. What's going on with you, mate? What is
I'd
Los Crack-ios?
Something we could talk about. Is I thought it's a good talking point. It's a good talking point.
This is the place.
So you and I, most of our gigs, pretty much all of our gigs, are what they call bread and butter gigs. You know what I mean? I'd argue.
Yeah.
You know,
gutter work.
I would say you and Neil have this whole gutter thing. I disagree with it, but if you want to call it that, then yes. But bread and butter gigs, so functions, whatever, weddings, pubs, I don't know. However, there's obviously people who get high-end gigs, and I was chatting to a friend who kind of has always sort of done those sorts of gigs, and
the high-end ones, you mean?
The high-end ones, not really the bread and butter. They haven't really done any bread and butter because it's all been high-end, baby. And I was talking to them, and they were saying, I haven't done any gigs yet this year, and I haven't really got much in the diary, you know. And it's because all their contacts are just high up top people. You know what I mean? It's sort of, they've only done those big tours with big artists, and when those, you know, those few artists aren't doing anything, then they go, well, I don't know what to do now, because I don't have the contacts for the bread and butter gigs, you know. And it is a case of grass is greener, because they were talking to me and I was telling them about the gigs I've done this year, and I was going, hey, it's all right, but you know, like, cool to do something. I was actually saying I haven't got any gigs this coming weekend, as in last weekend. I was like, oh, I wish I had something, you know. It's like the one Saturday where I'm not. And they were like, well, think yourself lucky, because, you know, I haven't had anything yet this year, and I won't till May. And I was like, yeah, but when you do gigs, they're mental, whereas mine aren't, you know. It was just an interesting thing, and it is sort of grass is greener. And I think it's just interesting that, yeah, if you're only used to doing big gigs, and then the big gigs don't come in, but you're not used to getting the bread and butter ones, then you just end up having no work, you know. And I was talking to Pat about this the other day, and he was saying, you know, there's certain drummers. We actually mentioned Ben Thomas. Ben Thomas is a perfect example. You know, he'll play with Rag and Bone Man, and they'll do a massive tour, and it's stadiums and arenas or whatever. But then he'll come back and he'll do a function, you know, the day after getting back from a tour. And to have your feet firmly in both camps is kind of the way to do it, you know. It's a
tricky world to navigate. It's a tricky world to navigate. Some people, I imagine, will kind of do it by choice, in a potentially slightly arrogant way. Like, well, I do this now.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing that. I'm not. We're all trying to climb up the ladder.
Yeah.
But are you willing to come down the ladder? You know, for a cheeky tour. Do you know what I mean? You willing to go to Winnersh?
Yeah.
You know.
Taplow,
Didcot, Yateley, all the big uns.
Yeah.
And some people, it will happen out of their control, because you could perfectly imagine going, well, I wouldn't ask them.
Yeah.
Because they...
What, as in they won't do a smaller one?
Yeah, you're like, the false assumption can be on that person.
Exactly.
Well, they wouldn't do that because they're big time.
Yes.
So why would they? They're not going to want to come down the ladder.
Yeah.
And actually, probably a lot of them like. Well, actually, I'd quite like the work because.
Yeah.
These big artists at a certain level.
Yeah.
Don't do everything 12 months a year. They just whittle it down and do a big tour and the festivals, and there's a lot of time in between. And I think that can often be commonly forgot from a fan perspective or a non-musician's perspective. That like. Just because they see you doing that one thing doesn't mean you're doing it all the time.
Yeah.
So I imagine, it's easy to be typecast. I've been typecast myself as from playing a gig with a sound limiter and having to just tap the kit. I got typecast as a tippy-tappy drummer, you know?
Are you ever going to get over this?
Nah. But what I mean it, but then like that cost me work. It actually cost me work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I imagine it's a similar sort of thing. Or perception of me, he doesn't want to leave the house. Don't put him on a gig. He's fucking fat and lazy. You know.
Is this you again?
And
who's saying this?
My diary is saying this. You know, you have said, I think, and this isn't having a go. You've said like, oh, you're happy in your world of your bands doing your thing.
Yeah.
Well, what if I'm not?
Well, I don't know. That's the way it comes across, because I think if you weren't, then you'd do something about it. You know, you go out and find other work, drumming wise, gig wise.
Well, is that the same opinion you should have of these big artists? Well, what are you doing about it then? Do you see what I mean?
Kind of.
There's an assumption there, maybe because I've not directly said, I want more gigs, I want to do more things. Doesn't mean that maybe that's not there.
Is it there?
Well, we can have these nice conversations because we are very good friends. I don't think at the moment it's there, but it's not to say it might not be there. Or might not be, it might be nice to be offered something. Now, it's chicken and egg. It's shells or skins. Well, do I have to say something to be offered? Or does the offer come and then that's when I make the decision? It's that kind of sort of thing.
You probably got to say it to some extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
'Cause you reckon
likewise, the
sometimes-
assumption can be made that these big artists don't want to do function gigs or something like that, so they don't get offered it. So it's a perception and it's a balancing perception and realism that needs to be conversed in some way.
You know, just because someone's not saying like,
have you got any work, doesn't mean they're not
necessary
looking for work. Does that make kind of sense? It's,
Yeah.
It's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, really.
Yeah, but well, I think it's interesting to go on to you. Do you want to be doing gigs outside of the bands you've got? Because sometimes I think listeners might agree that it sounds like you don't even want the gigs you do have with your band. Sometimes, you know what I mean? You're sort of disdain for some gigs.
Yeah, and if that's to my, I like to think that I have a little tongue in cheek when putting my opinion across. But then if that's being perceived in a certain way, then maybe that's something I need to address. But I think at the moment, my passions are lying elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know? And I consider the drumming gigs, and I'm content in my little bubble. It's good. And we work hard to maintain that bubble. And I'm sure at some point, you know, I've done lots of original bands and things like that.
Yeah.
I have had, people ask me to do things. I've just not been able to do them. Sometimes then that just rules you out.
Yeah.
For a good time. I wouldn't say at the moment I have a desire, but that's not to say never, for sure. You know.
There you go.
I think mentally, time. I feel like I've had a good career in like original stuff, and maybe something will come up. Maybe that's something I'll feel is missing. At the moment, I don't feel like it's missing. But then sometimes you kind of think, well, it'd be nice to be asked to do something.
Right, it's always nice to be asked.
But then, as I said, chicken and egg. Well, if I'm not putting it out there that I want to be asked, people aren't asking.
Yeah.
And the same for these, drummers who play for touring acts. Well, if people are assuming they don't want to do a function, but actually maybe they do. But are they saying, can you get, have you got any things? And people are like, oh, what?
But it's also surely having those contacts, if you kind of, those people that sort of fresh out of uni or college land a big gig, and then that's all the people they know, and they have sort of just missed that whole, I don't know, function and wedding contacts, you know what I mean? Just like people like Tim Love who just threw you a gig, they don't know any of those people. So then, I don't know, then how do you, it's a weird one, because it's not like one is better than the other. They are just still both just drumming jobs. One has a lot more weight to it, I'd argue, and a lot more, I don't know, importance maybe. I don't know, important sounds wrong, but do you know what I mean? Playing an arena compared to playing Gary's 50th. But like, I don't know, it's sort of like, but I wonder for them it feels like going backwards maybe. But I think Bob Knight summed it up perfectly and said he plays all of them, and he said some people will say, hey, I got this function, and they say, oh, I don't really do stuff like that, a bit too busy, and you go, right, okay, and then they come back and go, actually, I would like that, But yeah, I just thought it was a interesting one. Here's a question for you, since we got onto your drumming. Do you think because I felt like this, I don't know, last 6 months you've got nostalgic about things. Do you know what I mean? Almost like you were putting like a bookmark in like, 3 Day Bender did this 20 years ago, and I found all this stuff from this band, and I found all these. Do you think that's like, I don't know, almost like that part of it? I don't want to say it has stopped, but like, I don't know, you're sort of looking back on a lot of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I like to think that I sort of almost divided my life maybe into like 4 parts. right? Birth. I mean, that's the first step, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? Thanks, Anne.
Yeah.
Top work.
Great
You've
job.
done well.
Yeah.
Got it right second time. Don't need any more.
Let's put all our eggs in that musical basket.
Up to 18. That's your birth to adolescence to adulthood, right? The Titchfield years, we should call them. Then I got the London years, right? I got Royal College of Music and PlayStation. Then I've got the Pompey freelance years and blacksmiths years. And now, because of various things that have happened over the last couple of years, with my dad and other things and just life changes, I'm now in what I like to call phase 4. So, still doing the functions. Keep up the doodling.
Yeah.
I got that, which brings in the money, which helps pay the bills. I do that with good people that I enjoy hanging out with. I've got little piggy now, so I've got my new studio in my house. Married, got a lovely house, got our cats. So I think it's okay and maybe healthy to maybe accept when not a dream is over, but your goals shift. You realign yourself into who you want to be and what you want to be. And I think in the nature of the sort of business we're in, where you're not, stuck might be a harsh word, but where you're in a corporate environment that's 9 to 5, there's rails you have to stay on. And if you want to switch rails, you're reliant on other, the company and things like that. Whereas we have a lot of freedom in what we want to do and what we can achieve. Perfectly summed up by today, got back from Barcelona last night. Today was have a big snooze, do some washing and build Lego. Yeah. Now, my other friends from the trip, most of them went to work today. Yeah. And if they didn't go to work, they had to book that time off. This was, and someone had to swap a shift. And so I'm in, I can be like, yeah, today I'm just going to take it easy, rest up because my legs are knackered. And looking back at kind of that original music I did, it was 3-Day Bender, Betamax, Mordecai, Gypsy Hill, Oxygen Thief. It's great, and you do it, and you try, and you have a goal, you have an aim to kind of get somewhere with it. Like you want to keep going up the ladder, but then at some point it doesn't happen for most people, and you have to make that decision. And Oxygen Thief was a good one. Like, do I want to keep going to Leicester and playing to 10 people with maybe a festival that's 1,000 people? When you keep repeating the same thing, like, oh, we'll do the festival again, but it's the same stage at the same time on the same day. Yeah. It's not, oh, we're on a bigger stage. We're on a, And a lot of that is down to work and luck and all those sorts of things that we all know. And there comes a time we have to go, does this fulfill me anymore? And at some point, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Move on. Mum, I don't want to do swimming lessons anymore. Okay, cool. And same, I don't want to do blacksmiths anymore. I've had enough. I want to move on. And a lot of people can be like, "What? Why did you close down blacksmiths? Well, don't want it anymore." And that is a reason. That is a reason. There were other reasons, of course. Like it's okay to give up a hobby. It's okay to stop doing things. But what is healthy, I think, is to be able to look back at those things and go, "That was that part of my life. It was really good. Yeah. I feel satisfied by what I did, but now maybe it's time to do something else." Now, a lot of my things I like to do, the studio side of my life, recording, and the session drumming in that. Hello, Pearl. Hello. Buying Lego, going on holidays, these things. Well, the function bands pay for that. They pay for that. So it's kind of like a necessary evil. Like, I enjoy it. It is good. It's easy money in the grand scheme of things. And that enables me to give me the freedom to do things like not work today and all those other things. But I have to think about as well, like, I'm 40 now. Like, quite clearly, I've had physical issues that I'm addressing. But I've got a great home life. Like, with the house, my wife, the cats. And if someone was like, do you want to go and do a tour for 2 months? to be honest, I really like being at home and having this. But I've also done those tours. I've done those, not 2 months, but I've done those things. So I can almost go, yeah, that was great. I'm happy with my lot. And now I'm putting my efforts into other things, into writing the musical, doing Little Piggy, drumcharts.co.uk, those things, like something new to kind of do. Because we all know when you travel far and you go and play, to 4 people in fucking Birmingham and then you drive home the same night, like can be disheartening. But you can do that with a function band and go to Birmingham and there's 4 people dancing, but you're coming home with 300 quid in your tin. That's a big difference, isn't it? Because you can justify it by, well, that's going to pay my bills. I think so now. Maybe like if I wanted to do, for me, I was actually talking to my mate yesterday on the trip home. Like, I'm so focused on writing this musical. Like, that is the new passion project. That is the new thing, and it's less reliant. I don't have to go and gig it. I don't have to go and find other people to come and rehearse it and play. It's a different path to the one of form a band, rehearse, write, record, release, ultimate disappointment. I'll take the disappointment. It's just a different journey to get there, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying a different tangent of music creativity that gets me writing, arranging, composing, recording, producing, and I can sort of do that quite nicely insulated, and co-writing it with my wife is really good fun. So I think it's okay to be like, no, I did that, I enjoyed it, it's done now. But that doesn't mean to say, like, at some point I'll be like, do you know what, it'd be good to do some original music again. Be good to do that, but not at the moment. Yeah. I think I think I don't know, if you're like, your 20s is you find out who you want to be, your 30s is you fucking go for it, and I think your 40s is like, it's cliche, but you sort of settle down. But it's like, well, yeah, I've built this life now and I'm really happy with it. And to kind of the hunger for that original music stuff and tours and that graft, it's just not really there at the moment. No. Yet I'm really hungry to write this musical. I'm really hungry to play darts. I'm really hungry to have Little Piggy be successful in this. I'm really, this new phase of my life. And now it's like thinking about the next 10 years and what happens what am I doing when I'm 50 and things like that. And the function bands, like, I deride it unfairly, but it helps me do all those things because it's a big chunk of my income. So I kind of appreciate it. And me and Neil work hard to make sure the bands are, busy and active and making sure promo is good and things like that. So I don't just like completely shun it. I do it and I want to do it well for sure and be organised with it and stuff like that, because that's financially is really important. Whereas you, I imagine, in your start of your 30s, you've still got that. Your life's very different.
Yeah, I think the difference is I'm not looking back on anything. Do you know what I mean? I'm sort of in the middle of it. Do you know what I mean? I think that's sort of what I was saying. It's sort of, I think you explained it very well.
Because I imagine, right, let's say, you've got a really busy year with Lainey and you're really putting your eggs, putting your eggs in that basket sounds hard. So what I mean is, like, you're in it and that's great. And you're along for that journey. But like a lot of things, it's hard to imagine that will still be going in 10 years. You don't know. It might do, it might not.
Probably not. And I don't know if I said this before. I remember getting to the start of this year and it being the first time I was really worried about not having gigs next year, as in 2027. I can't remember if I said this on here. But it was sort of like every year sort of gradually gets a bit better and it's sort of like, oh, it's cool. But last year was so good. And then on paper this year is, bigger and different gigs and whatever. And sort of went, I really don't want this to stop. Do you know what I mean? I really don't want next year to be less than what this year is, And it was a weird one. It was sort of like, being well aware that, okay, well, Georgie might not want to do it anymore, or something might happen, and then all those gigs go under, and you go, fuck, how am I gonna fill this, I don't know, this void of gigs I have, but I do think I'm sort of in the middle of it, and there's no right, that's been good, and that's like a book, that's there's no like I'm not at the end of a phase, put it that way. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like I feel like I'm very much in the middle. But it's just interesting, isn't it? What I think that's spot on what you were saying, because I think I've noticed it. I noticed you say, I was listening to the album I did with 3 Day Bender. I was showing it to my wife, or I was I had a scrapbook of these tickets, and when we did this, when we did that, and it was sort of like whereas I don't know, it's sort of I haven't got to that bit yet, but that was all I was asking. It's just it's just interesting.
I think as well, like
where you're at.
I do the drumming, and I love the drumming. I love playing drums. This podcast has increased my love of drums. Doing this, I'm way more into the sort of the gear and history and all that kind of history.
We don't talk about the history of drums, that side of thing. But what's also important, I think, as well, is like
running the blacksmiths. That was my grind. That was my.
Do you know what I mean? That was
that was more of like a full-time thing. That was like driving, where I really wanted progression. I wanted to
do that, and the drumming kind of
paid for that in a sort of sense.
Yeah.
So that was like the hunger in my 30s was studio stuff,
and the drumming was also there.
Whereas you're drumming, you're doing that. So yeah, but I think it's nice to look back. I think it's nice to look back on things and go actually and kind of be proud of what you've done. And I think a big part of it was because I lost my father. Like we still haven't found him. Lol. That gives you a perspective. It changes your view on things when you lose a parent. And I think actually being able to look back as well as forward, I think it's quite healthy, and it's quite good to be like, oh, that was really fun. That was great.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I want to get 3 Day Bender back together and do it, because ultimately it'd be disappointing. But you can look back, and the more time passes, you focus less on the negatives, and you just look more on the positives. And I like to look back and go, yeah, that was really fun. That was great. Did all these cool things. But this is phase 4 now. Like there's so many more new cool things I want to do. And maybe at the moment one of them isn't the standard routine of doing original music, And as I'm not putting myself out there to sort of be booked as a, session drummer for a up and coming artist or something like that, I like to be heavily involved in the creative process and stuff like that. And as I said, like that's what the musical's given me now.
Yeah.
It's something different. It's a new avenue. It's something that I'm really excited about.
And again, Little Piggy and the drums gives me the money that I can spend time working on that as my sort of passion project. Yeah.
Exactly. And just because something's awesome or cool or whatever doesn't mean you have to do it forever. I think that's something I've thought about. I was talking to someone the other day, and I was saying how I did that contract abroad in Mallorca 9 years ago. And I remember very vividly thinking at 22, like, right, what do? I either stay out here where I literally live in the sun, I got accommodation paid for, a good salary, I gig every night, I don't really need to buy anything, and I live by the sea in Mallorca, and I could do that. That could be my 20s if I want it to be. Or I could go, it's been fun, but let's go and not do that anymore. Let's do something else. And it might be worse. And there's been many times where I've been doing like shit jobs and been like, fuck, imagine if I just stayed in Mallorca and I would still be there now. But I knew that I saw how good it could be, and there was no sort of progression with it. It was that, and then that was it. And if you come back and do it again the next year, it's not like you get paid more or the gigs get better. The gigs are the same, the pay's the same. And if anything,
it doesn't change if you go to a bigger island.
No, exactly.
Like, you've been upgraded to Madagascar. It's not like,
exactly.
Great, I'm now doing a bigger, it's not a state,
No, but it's like 3 Day Bender. If you got it back together every 4 years, it wouldn't be better every 4 years. It would probably be worse. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and it's just, and I think you're right. I think my thing that I look back on and go, that was great, and I'm glad I did it. And it's like, it was, City Skies, obviously, that band. It was like, I'm fully aware, original music-wise, that is the best thing I've ever done. And I almost go, if that's the best thing I ever do, then fine. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, unless I find a really good original band and become the drummer, and I am a drummer for that, I'm not going to top that. Do you know what I mean? And you kind of go, cool, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm proud of that. Even though, and I think that's how it is when you're 18. That is where 18 to 20 or whatever, that's where people do their, and that sort of music, I think, their best work a lot of the times, because you've got that adolescence or whatever. We've talked about it before, but yeah.
If you do this Laney gig and like ride that wave, absolutely. But at some point, she might stop doing it.
Yeah.
At some point, you might want to stop doing it.
Yeah.
At some point, the real Laney stops doing it.
Yeah.
At some point, country in the UK has a wave and then it dies down again.
Yeah.
At some point, something will happen, whether that's 1, 2, 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
Ride the wave, but the time will come where, you won't be doing it.
Of course it is.
So you've got to enjoy doing it now.
Yeah.
And then when it's done and you move on to the next thing, you'll look back at the Laney thing and you go, well, that was fucking cool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I just toured the fucking,
yeah,
played loads of shows in the UK, loads of festivals, played in Europe. Didn't quite get to play in Dubai because there's a little bit of a war.
Yeah.
And you go, wasn't that fun? Wasn't that great?
Yeah. I'm fully prepared for it to just be this
try
year.
And flog the dead horse.
Yeah.
That can be where it gets.
Yeah, I'm fully like fine with it. If it is just this year and that's it, then okay. Do you know what I mean? We've got a good run of gigs, and if we don't have any next year, like another Laney tribute overtakes us, that's the worst thing that could happen. Or Georgie stops doing it, or it just doesn't work. Because as we know, there's so many things to make a band work well. And it's like the fact that it is working well is a miracle. And so that's exactly how I try and think about it. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing it as these gigs we have this year, and then that's it. But then if we have more next year, then great. But yeah. Anyway.
Absolutely. Let's wrap up.
Let's wrap up, boy. Good chat.
Good chat, man.
Good chat.
Good chatos. Los chatos. Don't know the word for good.
Muy bien.
Anyway. Muy bien, eh? Methamphetamino. Cocaine, eh?
It's good. It's very good.
Los Polos Drumios. There we go.
Very good.
drumandrummerpod@gmail.com. Send us an email. Follow us on Instagram @Drum and Drummer Podcast. Also, if you like what we do and you're listening on some kind of app that just gives you this podcast in your ears, whether it be Spotify, whether it be Apple, whether it be one of the, I assume many others, but probably not because we live in a capitalist world where there's just little people at the top controlling the many, then give us 5 stars. It helps people find us. Get your drum charts at drumcharts.co.uk. I know we did have some correspondence about drumming pet peeves.
I was just going to say
we shall get to that next week.
Yes. Okay, cool. I just got it up on my phone. We'll come back to you, Chris Hampson. We'll do it next week. Don't you worry, boy.
Yeah, we will get to that. Thanks for listening, as always. And George, thanks for inviting me on. Absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
My guest next week will be someone not Ben Winty. It will instead be, don't know, couldn't think of another person.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Drum and Drummer. You can find us on Instagram @Drum and Drummer Podcast. And you can send us an email to drumanddrummerpod@gmail.com. Remember, just pick up the sticks and twat it.